Hi, all. With all of the news regarding the coronavirus, I thought I might add my 2 cents, hopefully worthy of sense. Um, First of all viruses and all things that are alive, which viruses are only alive when they're infecting a cell, otherwise, they're metabolically inert. They're metabolically dead unless they're in an infective state where they're utilizing the metabolic machinery of the host cell. So, what I'm trying to say is that just like with any living cell, the life cycle of the virus cannot occur in the absence of energy. And it so happens that just like us, viruses use the combination of fat burning and sugar burning, and they manipulate them in a way that allows them to survive. When the virus takes over the cell and reprograms it, it intrinsically makes a lot of excess free radicals. And the virally infected cell has a variety of ways that it deals with that. The point here being, though, that for most viruses, when they go through their replicative cycle, where they have to make the nucleic acid, their genome, be it RNA or DNA, and they have to make the proteins that form the coat that they wrap themselves up in. So there's a lot of metabolic activity that's intrinsic to the growth phase of the replicative cycle of the virus. And when the virus matures, it may be naturally triggered into and going into a fat burning stage where autophagy and the machinery of autophagy, which involves lysosomes and mixing together of membrane-bound vessels, those are the things that can be very much corrupted and used for the maturation of viruses, especially those that have membrane coats. So now let's go to coronavirus. It's a small RNA virus. RNA viruses are naturally very mutagenic. They change their genetics very simply and very rapidly because their RNA polymerase that makes the copies of the genome is very sloppy. They don't have proofreading functions like DNA polymerases do. So they don't repair errors in the same way that our more efficient means of replicating genetic material are able to accomplish. So right off the bat, that tells you you're going to have a lot of mutations. So vaccines are not going to be very effective, just the same way as with the flu, they're not effective. In the case of the flu, you not only have an RNA virus, but you also have multiple chromosomes, so that if you have a cell multiply infected, you can actually shuffle around pieces of DNA from the various chromosomes that constitute the replicative component of a flu virus. So the coronavirus doesn't have that extra level of variability, but nevertheless, it's got that variability. So what's going on now? We see that, there are maybe, it looks to me, and it's hard to get this number pathetically, it's really very bizarre, but if we've had 4,000 or 5,000 registered infections, the death rate seems to be maybe about 5%. So that means 95% of the people are curing themselves. And it's very hard to find the analogous death rate for other viruses. But it looks like they may be close to that range. Maybe not as deadly, but still, we're only talking about 5%. And when you're dealing with the elderly, who are the people who are typically dying from viral infections, elderly or very young, because they don't have a well-developed immune system, or they have an immune system that kind of has passed its peak because people haven't been taking care of themselves, which is why they passed their peak. So in any event, the point that I'm trying to say here is that metabolism regulates life, and I'll give you some examples. A friend with HIV for, at the time, 25 years, viral load, millions, comes down with Kaposi, which kills you, very rapidly replicating herpes type virus, Kaposi's. And when you have Kaposi's with HIV, it tells you that you now have full-blown AIDS, you have no immune system, and you're going to die. But with cannabis topically on Kaposi's, they fall off. And with ingesting sufficient amounts of cannabis, the gram a day type story for cancer, doing that with HIV infected individuals completely controls the virus. And the person who was resistant to all of the available drugs at the time went from a viral load of millions to zero, undetectable even in a lumbar puncture. So what I'm trying to tell you is these viruses can't replicate unless you give them supplies of fuel, and you can regulate that very significantly with cannabis and with your diet and with nutraceuticals. So if you are going to be exposed to the flu or to these other viruses, make sure you're staying away from sugar, that you're taking high doses of vitamin D and the various other nutraceuticals that I list on our webpage, cannasapiens.com, CANNA-sapiens, cannasapiens.com, under metabolic manipulation. And I haven't had the flu for years. The last time I had the flu, many years ago, I made the mistake of taking a flu shot. And if the shot's going to work, you're going to get the symptoms. Well, the symptoms are what you get when you get the flu. I'd rather get the flu. I'd rather get chicken pox. I'd rather get measles. Peace. Take care of yourself. Metabolism is you. The DNA-centric world is out of date. It's a metabolic-centric world for the future and for reality.